Now it's time for Toker Talk Radio, the voice of the marijuana nation.
What are you people? On dope?
Where you can toke.
I inhale frequently.
Or you can talk.
I experimented with marijuana and didn't inhale.
Or you can toke and talk.
10 federal criminal penalties for possession of up to 1 ounce of marijuana.
While we talk about toke on Toker Talk Radio.
So, by the way, when it comes to pot, if you're 40 years old, you live in a log cabin in Oregon, you got 12 giant pot plants in your backyard, have a ball.
Live from beautiful Portland, Oregon at Rolla J Studios.
Hey, this is great. Just like cannabis.
Plus your calls live at 971-533-7111.
They're walking on their pants with their cap on backwards, listening to Nadelmann Man and Snoopy Poop Dog.
What's to keep somebody from getting all potted up on weed and then getting behind the wheel? Gateway theory doesn't work. It's a reality.
Holland, is it real? Don't tease me.
We're locking up people that take a couple of puffs of marijuana, and the next thing you know, they got 10 years.
And now, here's your host, the guru of ganja graphics, the sultan of sativa statistics, and the worst nightmare of a reefer mad prohibitionist. A polite, perspicacious, productive pothead with a propensity for PowerPoint. Radical Russ Belville.
All right, welcome back, everyone. It's 4:02 in beautiful Portland, Oregon, where the sun is shining, the wind is blowing, and it's cold outside. Yeah, for those of my listeners in like Chicago and Minneapolis and Anchorage and those kind of places, it's all the way down into the 30s. Ooh! I know, I just felt the virtual slap upside the head I got from that. I'm from Idaho, where it actually used to get cold in the wintertime. So this is like not much of a shock to me. But Portland and Oregonians, man, the Portlanders, it gets anywhere near 40 and then people freak out. Now, it's not like my friends in Miami who freak out at 60. Like, oh my God, it's 60 degrees. It's freezing. But it's pretty bad here in Portland. They don't know how to handle the cold. So I got my nice, thick, double layer Idaho parka. Man, I'm all good. Me and Roscoe walk in the store. We're just fine. We got all sorts of great stuff coming up here in Toker Talk Radio Hour 2 today. Coming up next, after our next break, we've got a clip from the Herb Thrasher Flower Hour. And folks, if you've not checked out the Herb Thrasher Flower Hour in a while, you ought to check it out. Every Friday night, 8 p.m. Pacific Time live. Herb's expanding the show now to be more of a music news and cannabis news show. It's really cool. We're still playing lots of great metal, lots of great bluegrass and all sorts of thrash music. But he's also featuring these great interviews with people in the music industry, bands, record label owners. And this last weekend featured an interview with High Times Bobby Black. That's right, High Times Bobby Black. And amazingly enough, this is Bobby Black's 20th year working for High Times. That's pretty amazing, man. 20 years. And so we talked with Bobby Black in a 3-part interview, and the entire show, all 3 parts, is coming up next at 5 o'clock, because we always do a replay of last week's Herb Thrasher. I'm sorry, not next, but coming up at Friday at 5 o'clock, I should say. It's not Friday yet, Russ. But anyway, Friday at 5 o'clock, you'll catch the replay of this, of all 3 parts of the Bobby Black interview. But today we're going to play Part 2, where Bobby reflects on legalization in Alaska and Oregon and makes a pretty exciting announcement about the future of the High Times Cannabis Cup in the United States. So check that out. That's coming up after our next break. And then at 20 after, we've got our daily Toker Tunes. Gordon Green's calling in. Has got some great music from Burning Spear for us to get irie with on a Wednesday. Then after the Irie Wednesday break, I'm really looking forward to this, folks. Ethan Nadelmann, the head of the Drug Policy Alliance, delivered a TED Talk. And we've got that entire TED Talk for you coming up at the bottom of the hour. So stick around for that. We're really excited. Like I say, Ethan Nadelmann, one of my heroes in this movement, one of the best communicators on the drug war issue out there. If you've not seen him deliver a talk, stay tuned. Half past, you're going to get a look at that because it's really, really good stuff. All right, here in Oregon, we are all excited about marijuana legalization. We passed Measure 91, and we've got legalization coming up. I encourage you to check out the Oregonian, our local newspaper. They've got a marijuana news section now. You can find it at OregonLive.com/marijuana. And you can find the latest breaking news. I'm often quoted in those stories, so a great source of information. And also released some new posts on RadicalRuss.com today. A whole bunch of them. The time around the election was really busy, and I fell behind on reposting the articles that I get posted up on High Times and Huffington Post and Alternate. So I posted a whole bunch of them from election night onwards. You can get my predictions from election night. These are all on the front page right now. The unofficial election results, every election result I could find up to that point. This was up till November 5th. Now, some of those numbers changed as more ballots came in, but it didn't change any of the races. So if you're wanting to see whether something won or lost, you can find that out up on 420 or on RadicalRuss.com right now in the Marijuana Election Night 2014 Unofficial Election Results post. Also, we've got the new map out for the marijuana states of America, the color-coded icon map of marijuana legalization, decriminalization, medical marijuana, and other laws like DUIDs and paraphernalia. You can find it at RadicalRuss.com as well. A couple of articles I've also written for High Times on the prohibitionists' response to marijuana legalization in 2014. And a new article, I just updated it with a couple of changes. The 2014 United States Venn diagram of freedom. I map out the states where medical marijuana, gay marriage, and concealed carry for firearms is legal. Check it out, RadicalRuss.com.
Sir, do you think there will or should come a time for us to discuss the possibility of legalization, regulation, and control of all drugs, thereby doing away with the violent criminal market as well as a major source of funding for international terrorism? Thank you so much for your time, Mr. President.
Well, I think this is an entirely legitimate topic for debate.
Name the time and place, Mr. President. Radical Russ has been prepping for this debate full-time since 2005. The Russ Belville Show.
You can get 420 Radio on the go with our Shoutcast stream for all internet-enabled media players. Go to rad-r.us/420shout or just click the Shoutcast icon below the live radio feed at 420.
Hey, what's up? This is Killer Mike, one half of Run the Jewels, and I'm telling you, November 23rd through 27th, you need to be at Cannabis Cup. I did it last year, and I got so high, I can tell you what color Jesus' furniture is. I got so high, I kissed the sky twice. I got so much enlightenment, I know Buddha's last name. Do you feel what I'm telling you right now? The people are great. You don't have to search or call your sketch-ass dealer who won't call you back. You don't have to go lurking through the hood to find good smoke. You need to get out of the country. You've been sitting on your block too long smoking weed. Get out and have an adventure. See you at Cannabis Cup, November 23rd through 27th. Yeah.
420radio.org is proud to replay Cannabis Network Radio with David Kowalski from Tampa, Florida. In-depth coverage from the front lines of the struggle to legalize cannabis from David Kowalski, a veteran activist fighting in the Deep South. Catch the replays Wednesday at 12 Pacific on 420radio.org.
Hey, this is Willie Nelson, or Normal. And I smoke pot and I like it a lot. I learned a long time ago that marijuana is a lot safer than alcohol. There's nothing wrong with the responsible use of marijuana by adults. It's time we stopped arresting and started respecting those who smoke marijuana responsibly. To learn what you can do to help, contact Normal at norml.org or call toll-free 888-67-NORMAL.
Welcome back, everybody. We got this video from Herb Thrasher Flower Hour for you.
Solo from Caius, the mighty Caius. Sitting here, Herb Thrasher with Radical Russ.
Hey everybody, we're back.
Got Bobby Black from
legal.
High Times on the line. John Garcia right there. Bobby, what's going on with him these days? Dude, that tune was rolling stoned.
Yeah, man, he's got his first solo album out. He's been in like so many stoner rock, stoner metal bands. Of course, Caius famously, and Unita, Vistacino, Slow Burn. He's been in so many, but he's got his first solo record out now. And he actually came by the High Times office a little while back, and I did an interview with him. That video is going to be going up real soon, probably next week. I did, so keep an eye out for that on hightimes.com. And yeah, he's awesome. He's an awesome dude, and he's one of the best set of lungs in rock and roll, I think.
Yeah, he's amazing. We love John Garcia for sure. All right, 40 years of High Times magazine. You guys just had a party. Tell us about it, man. What happened? What were you guys doing, man?
Oh man, it was pretty epic. Yeah, we had a huge party in New York City. Down in the East Village, and we rented out a rooftop bar, and
nice.
Just invited all of our past alumni and contributors and longtime friends and advertisers and stuff to come out and celebrate with us. And we had this cool big custom cake made, and we had a big pot leaf piñata filled with joints. And it was pretty awesome, man. It was one for the record books for sure.
Very cool. Yeah, excited for you guys. I talk about High Times all the time, and one of the reasons I grew up reading High Times, and then now I feel like I work with High Times, and but you guys have just been so consistent in your leadership and coverage within the cannabis community, and here recently, if I'm not mistaken, people can go and check out all the archives now also.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of things this year to celebrate the 40th anniversary. One of which is we've digitized all of our past issues, which if you subscribe to our digital edition now, you can get access to every issue of High Times ever published. You can search for stories or your favorite authors or whatever, and that's pretty amazing. 40 years worth of archives finally available to people out there now. And another thing we did, which if you hold on a second, we got this new book.
Oh yeah.
It's a new coffee table book we just put out. It's called High Times, 40-Year History of the World's Most Infamous Magazine. And it's, it goes through our whole history, the covers and the centerfolds and all that cool stuff. And we broke it down into 4 decades, and each of the top editors of the magazine got to write about a decade, and I got to write about from the years 1994 to 2004, which is meaningful to me because that's when I started at High Times, was 1994. So I got to write about my first decade at the magazine, and then 2004, when I leave off, is the year I first started writing my column, Almost Infamous. So it's like perfect little bookends for me to write about that period, and it was an exciting period too. It was the rise of the internet and the change. The magazine went from being a cut and paste old school to all computerized and digital also. So it was exciting, and I was really honored to be able to contribute to that book, and especially those years that meant so much to me. And it's hard to believe I've been at the magazine for 20 years now. It's pretty crazy. You blink and time just flies by.
Well, it's really cool. And one thing that you guys have been able to do, and I'd like for you to speak on this for a second, but you guys have adapted, man. You guys have grown with the times, and I use that word as stoners always use that word, grow, but you guys never just can't remain steady. You guys are a steamroller and adapted with the times and the technology.
Yeah, well, we had a couple of rough patches in the 80s. We had this Operation Green Merchant. The government tried to scare our advertisers away so that we would fold up, but we survived it. And then they had Operation Pipe Dreams, and in the 90s, and then that targeted all of our glass advertisers. There's been a lot of challenges along the way for sure, and the magazine industry in general has been going in decline for years now because of the digital age because everybody's getting their info from the computers and their tablets and whatnot. But High Times has been able to survive even the decline of the magazine industry because we have such a loyal fan base, and we serve a niche market that nobody else really covers. We've actually added more pages this year than we ever have before. The magazine's thicker now than it has ever been, and it's pretty amazing. Our advertising's going strong, and what can I say? People love High Times. We have a brand that for 40 years, people, they know us, they trust us when it comes to weed, and we try to live up to that reputation and give them the best information and the most, entertaining content that we can give them.
One thing you guys have done is drafted a bunch of cannabis cups. You've really grown this in the United States, have one coming up in Amsterdam. Talk about that for a second, and then talk about kind of how you've grown the cannabis cups and High Times is doing that.
Sure. Well, the Cannabis Cup, this is our 27th cup in Amsterdam. Started 27 years ago. Amsterdam was our first and our flagship Cannabis Cup. And then it always was, and then we started doing U.S. Medical Cannabis Cups in 2010. We started in San Francisco, and since then we've done them in a number of cities, Los Angeles, San Bernardino, we've done Detroit, we've done Denver, obviously. Denver is actually, it's interesting because Amsterdam was always the pot capital of the world, and we always used to go over there and say, oh, it's so nice to feel free and legal weed and stuff, and now the tables have totally turned because in Amsterdam the cops give us a hard time, and Denver is now our biggest event, bigger than Amsterdam ever was. Denver, we're up to like almost 40,000 people this past year, and the most we've ever had in Amsterdam was maybe 5,000 to 7,000. So it's it's interesting how the tables have turned, and now we find ourselves saying, wow, we're in the U.S. the cops don't bother us at all, and in Amsterdam they give us a hard time.
That is a trip.
So we're expanding next year. We're looking to add a few more cups. Honestly, we're going to get to the point where we're going to be doing one every month. It seems like, but we're hoping to add. Looks like we might be adding Jamaica possibly next year in 2015, and also Oregon.
There you go. That's what we're
looking to do one in Portland, and I believe the target we're shooting for is in August.
Yes.
So, because that's one of the few months we don't already have a cup somewhere. So we're shooting for August. Obviously, we don't have a venue yet, but we're working hard on that, and it's gonna happen, man. It's gonna happen, and we're stoked to be bringing the Cannabis Cup event to the awesome state of Oregon, because there's so many fun heads out there. I was actually out there this past August for a quick visit for like a day or two.
Yeah, well, we know that, but I got to tell you this real quick, dude. With you guys coming in August, that works out perfect because July 1st is when our new laws kick in. So that gives you guys the month of July to start kind of, getting it going. We'll be smoking all the weed and make sure it's all good and ready to go by the time August comes. You guys come here and have a cup, and then we're going all the way up to Seattle. Just don't have it the same weekend as Seattle Hemp Fest, please.
No, we wouldn't do that.
Crying out loud.
We wouldn't cannibalize on the cannabis community that way, and split everybody. That wouldn't be cool. But
the weekend before,
we'll try to find another date.
No.
We want the vendors to be able to, do both events and all that good stuff. So we'll figure it out. But we're excited, and we hope that all the dispensaries and hope you guys won't have rec shops yet, will you, by then?
No,
yeah,
not until 2016.
Yep.
Oh, 2016. Okay. Well, but the dispensaries will be able to enter the cup, and
medical, yeah.
It'll be fantastic. Yeah, it'll be real cool to see. Not that I haven't smoked Oregon bud before, but it'll be interesting to see what the Oregon growers bring to the table for the cup.
Looking forward to it. Well, we really appreciate that bit of news here on the Herb Thrasher Flower on 420 Radio. Speaking with Bobby Black of High Times, just dropped the bong that the High Times Cannabis Cup could possibly be coming to Portland in December. All right, so if we still got a few minutes, can we do a few tunes and then come back and get a few more words with you before we end at 9?
Sure, man.
All right, so let's get into Monster Magnet. Brand new, kind of trippy tune. Tell us about this real quick. We're going to play End of Time.
Cool. Well, Monster Magnet's another one of my all-time favorite bands from right here in New Jersey, and they actually just put out a new
don't have any dope.
Then what did I just smoke?
I don't know, but it was pretty good. That's Herb Thrasher Flower Hour in the interview with High Times Bobby Black, announcing not only a Cannabis Cup being planned for Portland, Oregon in August, but also one for Jamaica. That would have to either be in December, January, or March based on their schedule. We'll keep you posted, and hopefully we'll bring you coverage from Jamaica too. Stick around. We're back with Gordon Green right after this.
You can get 420 Radio on the go with the TuneIn Radio app for all mobile platforms. Go to rad-r.us/420TuneIn or just click the TuneIn Radio icon below the live radio feed on 420.
The Pistachio. Green, natural, and available without prescription in all 50 states. He's fine.
Get.Buzz. .Buzz is the internet platform that fuels community interest, excitement, and new experiences. .Buzz is the premier online destination for internet users seeking the latest news on a variety of topics. .Buzz appeals to groups active in blogging, communications, journalism, advertising, and marketing. .Buzz offers registrants a stronger alternative to the shrinking namespace of existing top-level domain names, such as .com, .net, and .org. Get your name now at get.buzz.
Everyone knows music and marijuana go together, so let's wind up our 20 after break with the Russ Belville Show's Daily Toker Tunes, the best in pod-safe 420 music from around the web. Today is Irie Wednesday, featuring reggae, ska, and other world music genres. Now, sit back and enjoy your Daily Toker Tunes.
Welcome back, everyone. Approaching 23 after the hour, and we go to the Skype line where we've got Gordon Green waiting for us. How you doing, Gordon?
Hey, Russ, I'm doing really good. It's getting cold in the Northwest, though, man.
It sure is, especially with that wind blowing, but I like that it was blowing all the leaves out of my yard. That's okay by me.
No, it's blowing them all into my mother's.
That must be it. Okay. We'll have to get together and rake your mom's yard, I guess. So you're in the Northwest. Folks know you from our show, having been all over the world. And what's happening for Gordon Green? Are you going to stick here for a while?
Well, I'm back here for undetermined amount of time. Right after Christmas or New Year's, I'll be going back to work in hopefully sunny Guadalajara, Mexico.
Oh, wow.
So it'll be interesting to do some shows down there, and I'm going to try to find some cool Mexican music for Gordon Green's Music Planet in the future.
Yeah. Looking forward to that, folks. If you haven't heard Gordon Green's Music Planet, it's my favorite way to get through Hump Day. Every Wednesday we play it at 5 and 8 a.m. and p.m. Pacific time. And I see the replay we've got coming up at 5 is Sufi music. Do we have something coming up at 8, something new we need to tell people about?
No, that is the new show.
Okay.
Because of the way we have things set up, my show actually premieres every Wednesday at 5 a.m. instead of like the other shows at 8 in the evening. But so this week it's Sufi music. Sufi music is devotional or religious music from writings that are centuries old. One of the most foremost writers is named Rumi, and it's like a metaphysical aspect that originated from Islam, but it's now practiced in many religions.
I love it. I always get such eclectic group of songs on Wednesday that we get to hear from, and I really thank you for expanding our horizons on this. And every Wednesday here on the Russ Belville Show on Toker Talk Radio, we do our 420 Radio Daily Toker Tunes. It's Irie Wednesday, and we've got a tune here from one of our favorites in the chat room. J. My Stroll says he loves Burning Spear. What can you tell us about this tune?
Yeah, Burning Spear, one of my favorite reggae bands. And actually, what you have there on the screen, if people are watching on Ustream, Resistance is the name of the album.
Gotcha.
And
I'll fix that.
This is one of the great tracks from that CD. That's a CD full of great tunes. And this is Jase from Winston Rodney from St. Anne's Bay, Jamaica, and Burning Spear.
All right. Burning Spear with Jase. Thank you so much, Gordon Green. And stay tuned
My
after
pleasure,
the show
Russ.
for
Peace
Sufi
out, man.
music, Gordon Green's Music Planet.
What a vision Jah gives me in my brain. What a vision Jah gives me in my brain. When I was regaining my energy. When I was regaining my energy. What a vision Jah gives me in my brain. What a vision Jah gives me in my brain. When I was regaining my energy. When I was regaining my energy. So just said, His word shall be done. So just said, His word shall be done, shall be done, shall be done, shall be done. So just said, word shall be done, so just say. His word shall be done, shall be done, shall be done, shall be done. So just say. Every country, city, or village. Every country, city, or village. So just say, His work shall be done. So just say, His work shall be done, shall be done, shall be done, shall be done. Just said, His word shall be done. So just said, His word shall be done, shall be done, shall be done, shall be done. What a vision Jah gives me in my brain. What a vision Jah gives me in my brain. When I was regaining my energy. When I was regaining my energy. So just said, His word shall be done. So just said, His word shall be done, shall be done, shall be done, shall be done. Shall be done. Just say, His word shall be done in every country,
You can get 420 Radio on the go with the Ustream video app for Android and iPhone. Go to rad-r.us/420Ustream or just click the Ustream app icon for Android or iPhone below the live radio feed at 420radio.org. Growing plants indoors can be a rewarding hobby, but electricity bills can go through the roof. Then you have to cool down all those big hot lights. It can drive a grower insane. With Lush LED lighting, you can solve many of these issues and double your rewards. Matt and his scientists have developed the perfect light for flowering plants with far less cost and heat. And the results? Very effective. Check out lushledlighting.com right now and tell them Radical Russ sent you. 420radio.org is proud to replay Free Weed from Danny Danko with Danny Danko from Brooklyn, New York. High Times Magazine's senior cultivation editor Danny Danko answers reader questions and discusses grow tips, security do's and don'ts, and reports on the latest High Times events. Catch the replays Wednesday at 1 Pacific on 420radio.org. The law offices of Omar Figueroa would like to remind you to stand up for your rights. If you are detained or arrested, treat law enforcement with respect and stand up for your rights by repeating, "I respectfully invoke all of my legal and constitutional rights. I do not consent to any search and seizure. I want to remain silent, and I want to speak with my attorney." Please contact the law offices of Omar Figueroa at 415-489-0420 or 707-829-0215 or on the web at omarfigueroa.com.
Welcome back, everyone. 32 after the hour. That's music from Inca Inca with Crucial State. All right, I hope you're ready for this because we have got a TED Talk from the great Ethan Nadelmann of the Drug Policy Alliance to show you. And like I say, he's one of the best communicators on drug policy in the world. Let's get right to it. This is Ethan Nadelmann, most recent TED Talk.
What has the war on drugs done to the world? Look at the murder and mayhem in Mexico, Central America, so many other parts of the planet. A global black market estimated at $300 billion a year. Prisons packed in the United States and elsewhere. Police and military drawn into an unwinnable war that violates basic rights, and ordinary citizens just hope they don't get caught in the crossfire. And meanwhile, more people using more drugs than ever. It's my country's history with alcohol prohibition and Al Capone times 50. Which is why it's particularly galling to me as an American that we've been the driving force behind this global drug war. Ask why so many countries criminalize drugs they'd never heard of, why the UN drug treaties emphasize criminalization over health, even why most of the money worldwide for dealing with drug abuse goes not to helping agencies, but those that punish. And you'll find the good old US of A. Why did we do this? Some people, especially in Latin America, think it's not really about drugs. It's just a subterfuge for advancing the realpolitik interests of the US. But by and large, that's not it. I mean, we don't want gangsters and guerrillas funded with illegal drug money terrorizing and taking over other nations. No, the fact is, America really is crazy when it comes to drugs. I mean, don't forget, we're the ones who thought that we could prohibit alcohol. So think about our global drug war not as any sort of rational policy, but as the international projection of a domestic psychosis. But here's the good news. Now it's the Russians leading the drug war, not us. Most politicians in my country want to roll back the drug war now, put fewer people behind bars, not more. And I'm proud to say, as an American, that we now lead the world in reforming marijuana policies. It's now legal for medical purposes in almost half our 50 states. Millions of people can purchase their marijuana, their medicine, in government-licensed dispensaries. And over half my fellow citizens now say it's time to legally regulate and tax marijuana more or less like alcohol. That's what Colorado and Washington are doing, and Uruguay, and others are sure to follow. So that's what I do, work to end the drug war. I think it all started growing up in a fairly religious, moral family, eldest son of a rabbi, going off to university where I smoked some marijuana, and I liked it. And I liked drinking too, but it was obvious that alcohol was really the more dangerous of the two, but my friends and I could get busted for smoking a joint. Now, that hypocrisy kept bugging me. So I wrote my PhD dissertation on international drug control. Right? I talked my way into the State Department, I got a security clearance, I interviewed hundreds of DEA and other law enforcement agents all around Europe and the Americas, and I'd ask them, what do you think the answer is? Well, in Latin America, they'd say to me, you can't really cut off the supply. The answer lies back in the U.S. in cutting off the demand. So then I go back home and I talk to people involved in anti-drug efforts there, and they'd say, Ethan, you can't really cut off the demand. Answer lies over there. You got to cut off the supply. Then I go and talk to the guys in customs trying to stop drugs at the borders, and they'd say, you're not going to stop it here. The answer lies over there in cutting off supply and demand. And it hit me. Everybody involved in this thought the answer lay in that area about which they knew the least. So that's when I started reading everything I could about psychoactive drugs, the history, the science, the politics, all of it. And the more one read, the more it hit you how a thoughtful, enlightened, intelligent approach took you over here, whereas the politics and laws of my country was taking you over here. And that disparity struck me as this incredible intellectual and moral puzzle. There's probably never been a drug-free society. Virtually every society has ingested psychoactive substances to deal with pain, increase our energy, socialize, even commune with God. Right? Our desire to alter our consciousness may be as fundamental as our desires for food, companionship, and sex. So our true challenge is to learn how to live with drugs so they cause the least possible harm and in some cases the greatest possible benefit. I'll tell you something else I learned. That the reason some drugs are legal and others not has almost nothing to do with science or health or the relative risks of drugs, and almost everything to do with who uses and who is perceived to use particular drugs. In the late 19th century, when most of the drugs that are now illegal were legal, the principal consumers of opiates in my country and others were middle-aged white women, using them to alleviate aches and pains when few other analgesics were available. And nobody thought about criminalizing it back then because nobody wanted to put grandma behind bars. But when hundreds of thousands of Chinese started showing up in my country, working hard on the railroads and the mines, and then kicking back in the evening just like they had in the old country with a few puffs on that opium pipe, that's when you saw the first drug prohibition laws in California and Nevada, driven by racist fears of Chinese transforming white women into opium-addicted sex slaves. The first cocaine prohibition laws, similarly prompted by racist fears of black men sniffing that white powder and forgetting their proper place in Southern society. And the first marijuana prohibition laws, all about fears of Mexican migrants in the West and the Southwest. And what was been true in my country is true in so many others as well, with both the origins of these laws and their implementation. Put it this way, and I exaggerate only slightly. If the principal smokers of cocaine were affluent older white men and the principal consumers of Viagra were poor young black men, That smokable cocaine would be easy to get with a prescription from your doctor, and selling Viagra would get you 5 to 10 years behind bars. I used to be a professor teaching about this. Now I'm an activist, a human rights activist. And what drives me is my shame at living in an otherwise great nation that has less than 5% of the world's population, but almost 25% of the world's incarcerated population. It's the people I meet who have lost someone they love to drug-related violence or prison or overdose or AIDS because our drug policies emphasize criminalization over health. It's good people who have lost their jobs, their homes, their freedom, even their children, to the state, not because they hurt anyone, but solely because they chose to use one drug instead of another. So, is legalization the answer? On that, I'm torn. 3 days a week, I think yes. 3 days a week, I think no. And on Sundays, I'm agnostic. But since today's Tuesday, let me just say that legally regulating and taxing most of the drugs that are now criminalized would radically reduce the crime, violence, corruption, and black markets, and the problems of adulterated and unregulated drugs, and improve public safety, and allow taxpayer resources to be devoted to more useful purposes. I mean, look, the markets in marijuana, cocaine, heroin, and methamphetamine are global commodities markets, just like the global markets in alcohol, tobacco, coffee, sugar, and so many other things. Where there is a demand, there will be a supply. Knock out one source and another inevitably emerges. People tend to think of prohibition as the ultimate form of regulation, when in fact it represents the abdication of regulation, with criminals filling the void. Which is why putting criminal laws and police front and center in trying to control a dynamic global commodities market is a recipe for disaster. And what we really need to do is to bring the underground drug markets as much as possible above ground and regulate them as intelligently as we can to minimize both the harms of drugs and the harms of prohibitionist policies. Now, with marijuana, that obviously means legally regulating and taxing it like alcohol. The benefits of doing so are enormous, the risk minimal. Will more people use marijuana? Maybe. But it's not going to be young people, because it's not going to be legalized for them, and quite frankly, they already have the best access to marijuana. Right? I think it's going to be older people. It's going to be people in their 40s and 60s and 80s, who find they prefer a little marijuana to that drink in the evening, or the sleeping pill, or that it helps with their arthritis or diabetes, or maybe helps spice up a long-term marriage. And that just might be a net public health benefit. As for the other drugs, look at Portugal, where nobody goes to jail for possessing drugs, and the government's made a serious commitment to treating addiction as a health issue. Look at Switzerland, Germany, Netherlands, Denmark, England, where people who have been addicted to heroin for many years and repeatedly tried to quit and failed can get pharmaceutical heroin and helping services in medical clinics. And the results are in. Illegal drug abuse and disease and overdoses and crime and arrests all go down, health and well-being improve, taxpayers benefit, and many drug users even put their addictions behind them. Look at New Zealand, which recently enacted a law allowing certain recreational drugs to be sold legally, provided their safety had been established. Look here in Brazil and some other countries where a remarkable psychoactive substance, ayahuasca, can be legally bought and consumed, provided it's done so within a religious context. Look in Bolivia and Peru, where all sorts of products made from the coca leaf, the source of cocaine, are sold legally over the counter with no apparent harm to people's public health. I mean, don't forget, Coca-Cola had cocaine in it until 1900. And so far as we know, is no more addictive than Coca-Cola is today. Conversely, think about cigarettes. Nothing can both hook you and kill you like cigarettes. When researchers ask heroin addicts, what's the toughest drug to quit? Most say cigarettes. Yet in my country and many others, half of all the people who've ever addicted to cigarettes have quit without anyone being arrested or put in jail or sent to a quote-unquote treatment program by a prosecutor or judge. What did it were higher taxes and time and place restrictions on sale and use and effective anti-smoking campaigns. Now, could we reduce smoking even more by making it totally illegal? Probably. But just imagine the drug war nightmare that would result. So the challenges we face today are twofold. The first is the policy challenge of designing and implementing alternatives to ineffective prohibitionist policies, even as we need to get better at regulating and living with the drugs that are now legal. But the second challenge is tougher, because it's about us. The obstacles to reform lie not just out there in the power of the prison industrial complex or other vested interests that want to keep things the way they are, but within each and every one of us. It's our fears and our lack of knowledge and imagination that stands in the way of real reform. And ultimately, I think that boils down to the kids and to every parent's desire to put our baby in a bubble and the fear that somehow drugs will pierce that bubble and put our young ones at risk. In fact, sometimes it seems like the entire war on drugs gets justified as one great big child protection act, which any young person can tell you it's not. So here's what I say to teenagers. First, don't do drugs. Second, don't do drugs. Third, if you do drugs, there's some things I want you to know, because my bottom line as your parent is come home safely at the end of the night and grow up and lead a healthy and good adulthood. That's my drug education mantra, safety first. So this is what I've dedicated my life to building an organization and a movement of people who believe we need to turn our backs on the failed prohibitions of the past and embrace new drug policies grounded in science, compassion, health, and human rights. We're people who come from across the political spectrum and every other spectrum as well. We're people who love our drugs, people who hate drugs, and people who don't give a damn about drugs. But every one of us believe that this war on drugs, this backward, heartless, disastrous war on drugs has got to end. Thank you.
That's Ethan Nadelmann's TED Talk on the war on drugs that he delivered in Brazil just last month.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Ethan, congrats. Quite the reaction. That was a powerful talk. Not quite a complete standing O, though. And I'm guessing that some people here, and maybe a few watching online, I don't know, maybe someone knows a teenager or a friend or whatever who got sick, maybe died from some drug overdose. I'm sure you've had these people approach you before. What do you say to them?
Chris, the most amazing that's happened of late is that I've met a growing number of people who actually lost a sibling or a child to a drug overdose. And 10 years ago, those people just wanted to say, let's line up all the drug dealers and shoot them, and that will solve it. And what they've come to understand is that the drug war did nothing to protect their kids. If anything, it made it more likely that those kids were put at risk. And so they're now becoming part of this drug policy reform movement. There's other people who have kids, one's addicted to alcohol, the other one's addicted to cocaine or heroin, and they ask themselves the question, why does this kid get to take one step at a time and try to get better, and that one's got to deal with jail and police and criminals all the time? So everybody's understanding the drug war is not protecting anybody.
Certainly in the US, you've got political gridlock on most issues. Is there any realistic chance of anything actually shifting on this issue in the next 5 years?
I tell you, it's quite remarkable. I'm getting all these calls from journalists now who are saying to me, Ethan, it seems like the only two issues advancing politically in America right now are marijuana law reform and gay marriage. What are you doing right? And then you're looking at bipartisanship breaking out, with actually Republicans in the Congress and state legislatures allowing bills to be enacted with majority Democratic support. So we've gone from being sort of the third rail, the most fearful issue of American politics, to becoming one of the most successful.
Ethan, thank you so much for coming
Chris,
to TED
thanks
Global.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, Ethan Nadelmann at his TED Talk. This is available online, and we'll be back right after this.
America's RR7 secret agent of progressive change.
The name's Belville. Russ Belville.
This is the Russ Belville Show.
Goldfinger, he's the man with the Midas touch.
All right, make sure you stay tuned to 420radio.org. We've got 24-hour coverage of the marijuana legalization movement from all across the country and all around the world. Coming up on the Russ Belville Show tomorrow, we've got Cops Say Legalize Drugs. Patrick Heinz will be joining us. And on Friday, we have got Eric Leyland, the co-founder of CannaVentures, with a new study on cannabis marketing and branding. Don't call us stoners was the lead line on that. We're back after this.
420 Radio is 24-hour marijuana legalization radio. At Herbie's Cannabis Seeds, we pride ourselves on bringing you the best quality seeds from the world's most respected cannabis seed producers, all at the lowest online prices. You can find Herbie's Seeds at herbiesheadshop.com. All cannabis seeds are sold as souvenirs and as a means of preserving cannabis genetics. Herbie's Seeds in no way intends to condone, promote, or incite the use of illegal or controlled substances. We strongly urge all prospective customers to check their national laws prior to placing an order. Herbie's Seeds at herbiesheadshop.com. Proud sponsors of the Russ Belville Show and 420 Radio.
Tokers, there's no good reason to get your dog stoned. While it might not harm them physically, imagine being a dog who already begs for treats all day, and then imagine that dog having the munchies. Not cool.
At Royal Queen Seeds, we've got premium feminized cannabis seeds, including auto-flowering varieties for the medical cannabis user. We've got bulk shipments available and new CBD oil. Plus, we accept payment in Visa, MasterCard, and Bitcoin, as well as other methods. Check out our website at royalqueenseeds.com for more information. We are located in the Netherlands, and we have online grow experts ready to help you now at royalqueenseeds.com.
I'm good, man. I'm good. Thank you. Y'all loving the reggae music? Yeah. Much thanks for coming out to Swag Talk 42. We are very glad to be here. Sit. Baby, I would like it if we could just stay at home. Don't worry about nothing, not even put your makeup on. Oh, no problems, no bills, no costs, nothing going wrong. Hey. Just you and me making sweet love all night long. Yo, and cause my girl, she burns with me now every day. Yo, gives me loving everywhere. I say, ooh, takes care of my children without a complaint. Yo, and I know I'll be with her to the end of my Say that baby in the morning, you said, baby, just give me a light.
Welcome back, everyone. That's Josh Heinrichs and the Soul Rhythm Band with Spliff and My Lady. Shout out to all the folks out in Las Vegas who are enjoying the marijuana convention out there. This is the Marijuana Business Conference and Expo. 2,500 people expected out there. Ben Cohen, the co-founder of Ben & Jerry's, is speaking at the convention. And also debuting at the convention is a study that is being promoted by the folks at CannaVentures. CannaVentures, the press release says, "Don't call us stoners. New market research report surveys the new cannabis consumer. Seattle-based CannaVentures publishes an inaugural cannabis brand development study. This is a report to help cannabis businesses build a successful consumer brand. I believe they are showing that at the event either today or tomorrow. And then Friday, we'll have Eric Leyland, the co-founder of CannaVentures, on the show to tell us all about it. Also, getting reports from folks in the chat room about Nevada passing turning in their signatures for marijuana legalization coming up pretty soon. See if I can find that link back in the chat room that came up way earlier in the show. So hard to scroll through this sometimes. But yeah, I had to turn in a bunch of signatures. Let me see. I'll find this on the Nevada marijuana. Not seeing it. Okay, well, I have to take your word for it at this point. Also, new story in the Oregonian as we're closing up shop today. Homemade butane hash oil prohibited under Oregon's new legal marijuana law. Homemade butane hash oil experiment set 17 people to a Portland burn unit in a 16-month time period that ended last May. Over 1 per month. And as the introduction reads from Noel Crombie at the Oregonian, butane hash oil is a popular and potent marijuana concentrate often made in garages and basements by pot enthusiasts whose training consists of watching YouTube clips. So, in Oregon, under Measure 91, we have passed the law that bans the homemade manufacture of BHO and possession of any homemade BHO. So if you got a friend who makes it and you get yourself some, you can't have that. Now, it's unclear. I mean, it's pretty clear this doesn't affect the medical side. But here's what's unclear is that the medical side's kind of silent on what BHO is and how people are making it. I mean, it's not explicit in the Oregon Medical Marijuana Act that you can make it, but it's not banned, so we accept that it's allowed. But now we'll get into this gray area, right? Because if you got a patient who makes BHO, and then some of that BHO ends up with a recreational consumer, that's against the law under Measure 91. But it will be legal to have concentrate so long as you bought it from a licensed retailer who got it from a licensed processor. So we are going to have explicitly legal BHO. You just can't make it yourself. Now, Colorado and Washington, according to the story, have similar prohibitions on homemade BHO production in their recreational marijuana laws. Both states require that commercial manufacturers use a closed-loop system that keeps flammable solvents from seeping into the room. Leland Berger, a marijuana attorney and friend of the show, said, quote, "We felt that home extraction was such a hot button issue that excluding it from the adult use law would avoid that pitfall during the campaign." And other comments on here. Dwayne Blaine, a medical marijuana patient who lives in Portland, said he doubts the prohibition will matter much. He takes steps to ensure he's safe, such as making hash oil outside. He says outlawing home production of BHO won't do much to stop the practice. Quote, "To be honest, people who are going to be stupid and blow themselves up are going to do that anyway." Well, we'll see. I am in support of this ban on home production of BHO. But I think it could have been worded in a different way. And maybe this will get changed eventually. But I think it should ban the open discharge of flammable gases in the home. I don't care whether you're making BHO or doing it for a thrill. In a residential area, you should not be releasing flammable gases. If you made a ban like that, that would have banned open extraction. But someone who wants to go to the trouble of buying a closed loop system for their own home, they wouldn't be openly exposing any flammable gases to a residential area. We'll see. I think it was probably better to err on the side of caution to get it legal. and then we'll expand it from there. That's all the time we got. Stay tuned for Gordon Green. I'm Radical Russ. Until next time, take care of each other, Tokers.
This is the Russ Belville Show. The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you